Just before we begin this video, I wanted to really thank this month's channel members, so the people that support the YouTube channel, and, go the extra mile as well. And so these are Very Flores, Crowned Clown, Chad, Leiske, Platinum Wolf 2009, Cool Kid 9514, Christian Castro, Arcana Master, Navy Carib, Handy Capable, Lo Ria Hrong, Marcus Pei, Lord Rylek, Pablo Federico Ancarola, Unknown Hawkeye, Kyrus Darkblade, Barely Ross, Tristan H, and Matthew Harrison, as well as Jump. So thank you so much to those of you that are channel members on YouTube and support this channel and keep it going strong. I really do appreciate your support. But without any further ado, let's get into today's video. Alright gamers, you've been asking for this, you've been waiting for this. It's time for the sweet set 7 tier list for Vanguard 0, and so we're going to look at it together. But first, just like last time, because we have the resources in the Japanese server, we're going to look at what the big websites are also doing for this tier list before we make our own. So here's Gamewith, the one we looked at last time, and so this is what their new tier list looks like. I'm going to try to keep it a bit shorter than last time, just to save time. Tier 1, would you look at that? MLB still at the top. Look, it kind of lost some of its ratings here, but it's still at the top. Who would have thought that drawing into your pieces is just as good as, what if Wingle Brave didn't even exist? If you can just draw into your pieces, it doesn't matter. So MLB is still at the top, but I gotta say, I played with the deck a little bit in ladder, after the nerfs, and God, it's boring. It's so boring compared to what else is in the game right now. It's impossible to explain. And those of you in global that have been playing MLB, you know that this deck, it's strong, it's easy to play, but gets a bit boring after some time. And so that's one thing. From the new stuff though, Maelstrom coming in hot. Would you look at that? Power unprecedented, super strong, and I agree. You're gonna see Maelstrom tier 1 for sure, but let's hurry up. I want to talk about my opinions as we go through. The End, still tier 1 because it does have good matchups against Aquaforce, actually pretty good matchup, and against MLB, meh, not so much anymore because it lost Tejas, but still good against other things. But I think this tier 1 should be a bit bigger. Tier 2, Lukier out here, Zyfried and Dudley Emperor here at the top of tier 2, so this I 100% agree with as well. Vermilion, as it should be, at the top. Leopold Polaris at the top. Shadow Phantom Blaster at tier 2, and Azel at tier 2. Tier 3 though, it's pretty big as well. We got Dayusha here with fat power, but kind of falling behind in some of the other aspects. Then we got Coral that is also out here. Then we got Shadow Duke, pretty low. Shamsteel Metatron, pretty low. Tsukuyomi, pretty low. Zeal, pretty low. Then Pacifica, Battle Sisters, Reiji, Indra, Ashura Kaiser. Yeah, this is Beast Deity Ashura Kaiser, Death Army, Waterfall, Gold Paladin Duke, God, so low, and Risers. And then tier 4 is Neonectar, Kiriel, Pelennor, Coco, Garmor, Lux, Enigman. This doesn't matter anymore. It keeps going, but it's just literally weak decks that don't matter anymore. It's just, set 1 stuff, basically. Then we got Gamebox. So they say Majesty Lord tier 1, best deck still. The End, second best, and Shadows, third best. I agree on this. I think Shadows are definitely tier 1. You got a clan that didn't take any hits on the nerfs, so of course it's gonna be great. Then you got Kirif Azel. So this is the version of Azel that just goes turbo into Azel with crits and stuff. Then Maelstrom, then Dudley, and then Dimensional Robos. I like this. Gamebox, they know what they're doing. Polaris, 100%. There's the other Azel, Vermilion. That's a good tier 2. That's a really, really good tier 2. Hell yeah. Power. Then Coral, Zeal, Metatron, Lukier, Phantom Duke, Gold Duke, Indra, Death Army, Battle Sisters, Reiji, Ergo Deal, Perfect Riser, Tsukuyomi, Coco, Sakuya. So that's the entire tier 3. I think this could even be done in 2 divisions. I think some of these are competitive tier 3 decks, literally all the way up to here. And then you got the not so competitive tier 2 decks. So that's a tier 3 deck, sorry. Then you got Garmor Majesty. Tier 4, baby. Doesn't do anything anymore. Literally just takes an L. Locks. Again, these are some of the older decks that don't really matter anymore, so just gotta scroll through them and that's it. So now let's take a look at what my tier list looks like. Alright, so here we go. So we're gonna take it in order of more or less how things appear. This for now is tier 3. Risers, they can steal games, but really struggles against a lot of stuff, just gets kind of killed by other things. Like, it's not fast enough, even though it can get the crit really easily, but like, while you're just like going like, crit, and then like 2 rear attacks, other decks are just going like, okay, swing at your face, swap around cards, or like, you know, I got permanent crit, I got big base power, you know, all those things, so, not really. This, I think it's like, still low tier 2. This, you know, this is here because I literally, those of you that watch my stream will know that every single stream I lose to Blows. Like, at least, every time Blows come up, it's like the one time per stream Blow loss. I don't know, they just kind of kill me. I still don't think they're that good, but they can steal wins out of nowhere. So, like, low tier 3, high tier 4. Dayusha, in my opinion, pretty high tier 2. I agree with Gamebox here. Dayusha, the reason why is because I talked about it in the Dayusha deck and fight. You can watch that if you want more details, but basically, it has permanent crit, basically. It doesn't have much plussing, but it has a lot of pressure. It has good rears, strong rearguard columns, but most importantly, it just eats up your PGs until you lose. I climb with this a lot this season, and I can really say that this deck is pretty good, but it's not like the bee's knees, it's not insanity, it's not like, you know, the next MLB, definitely not, but it is good, it is good. Zyfried and Dudley Emperor, like, I honestly almost want to put them here. I think that they're like somewhere here, like the very top of tier 2 or actually tier 1. Spikes after this last update are just nuts because you have Jelly Beans as your searcher and recyclable heal. You got Dudley Emperor that gets you extra attacks. Like, you got the new like booster that can like become 10 and go back to your deck to free up space. You know, it's just so many good cards that the deck got. You can tutor for your grade 2s and like for your intercepts basically, and it's just really, really nice. And so I don't know, I think I'll knock it down if I need to. But for now, tier 1, but low tier 1. We got the end, still strong, literally didn't take any hits. I agree with MLB being at the top. I don't know if it's the top deck, but it's like something like this. Let's put it that way, of the original, you know, dominant trio. I think MLB still, it just draws into their pieces and it does the same thing. It doesn't let you limit break. It doesn't, like, it eats up your PGs, retires your stuff with Blaster Blade. It's just, you know, that's just what it does. But Phantom Blaster, regular Shadow Phantom Blaster, and Phantom Duke together, I think, are all tier 1 decks. Like, I think it's just really good. This might be, maybe the full Shadow PBO is like less good, but I think the, let me pull up, this is like the Shadow Duke list basically, or maybe let's make it the grade 2 so people don't get confused. So this is the Shadow Golds, so Duke with Shadows. I think this is really insane. You just run Shadows and like 4 of your grade 3s are Dukes just for that restand win. You know, it's good. It actually is good. It's really good. This tier 4, this is like somewhere here. You can just like randomly high roll, and that's really strong. This 100% is high tier 2 in my opinion. Vermilion still does great against everything. It's like even Aquaforce it does pretty decently against, and so I think it's definitely very good for that reason. This, sadly, with the introduction of more cross rides, thanks to Coral and Dayusha, and Dayusha being pretty popular too, this falls off. It just 11k it's struggle street. It's hard for it to deal with. Battle Sisters is in an interesting spot where actually, like, Aquaforce struggles against it, but nobody plays it because, like, they're 15k, so nothing hits, unless you take out the rears, which, like, you know, you do eventually. But yeah, Battle Sisters are kind of legit, but it's just nobody plays them, but they can counter the most popular deck in the game. Death Army, yeah, really didn't make a splash. Actually, no, somewhere here, some of the big players are actually playing it with, like, the boomerang throw with, like, and, like, snipe grade 2s and stuff like that, like snipe starters, and so Death Army can kind of do stuff, but you need to be an insanely good player to actually do that. Kind of same thing goes for Reiji here. Look here, actually pretty high up still. The only deck it folds to is Narukami, because they can disable your Dreamy Fortress. Every other deck struggles through the Dreamy Fortress as well. You can set up your win for next turn, so definitely quite good. This is like same power level, doesn't really do much. Cocytus, sorry boss, you gotta stay down here. Metatron. Metatron is a new deck, and it's somewhere here, sadly, because Metatron was really good in the TCG because she basically gave you counter charges. She basically gave you, like, you know, a lot of like recycle and like a lot of just strong power plays. But now Metatron is like, I don't know, she still powers up your ponies and stuff like that, but you want to run like 9 draws to draw into your pieces because you don't do that much raw plussing outside of like you don't run Kyriel anymore, so it's like, you know, you don't actually do raw plussing much. That's just what it is. Like, you gotta run 4 Armoros, I think that's her name, the grade 2, like, on hit, combat suit to draw, which you can abuse pretty well, because no seals countercharge you a lot, but that's about it. but you gotta rely on that a lot, and that's kind of awkward. Then, this, alright, hear me out, Polaris Tier 1. Polaris is insane. I've been playing it on stream quite a lot, and I've been playing it off stream quite a lot too. This deck has everything apart from retire. This deck has filtering for your cards, has like grade 3s that become intercepts end of turn, it has draw power, like crazy draw power, and it has attack power. So it has like, it can build up its power thanks to Binoculus and Leopold, giving 4k to your stuff. And then what does Polaris do? Restands a rear guard without even needing to hit, and gives it 4k on top of that. And he, like, with a 7k behind him, he's 21, so he hits for magic numbers. Polaris is really, really good. Great Nature is nuts in my opinion. Not that many people play it, but it's insanely good. Like, super good in my opinion. So, I think that Polaris definitely has a space. I think this is tier 1. I genuinely think this is tier 1. I'm just saying. So, definitely Polaris I think is super legit. I will do a deck fight on this very soon actually. I think this deck is just crazy strong. You'll see, it's crazy strong. Before we get into Maelstrom, because that's going to get a pretty lengthy discussion, let's go over these two. Coral is, it's nice, but it doesn't do too much. It draws, and it draws, and it draws. Why does it not have any rearguard columns? Literally, there's like no way to like build power. It folds to like defensive triggers even if you play stands. Like, it just doesn't do enough. It doesn't really do enough in order to actually like overcome a lot of these decks. Like, look at all of this. Like, how is poor Coral supposed to overcome this? So I honestly think it's like down here somewhere. Like, I don't know. It's a big shame. It's a big shame, but that's just kind of how it is. But yeah, Zeal, go somewhere here. Zeal is cool because they gave it some updates where now it's like when you make a rearguard's power become 0, it retires. So just by riding the Zeal right chain, you pop your opponent's starter, which is nuts. So I think it's quite good, but it's too counterblast heavy at times, and it doesn't let you do other things. And again, just like with Great Ayusha, not much plussing. So just Mika really available. And then of course the new tier 1 overlord is Maelstrom. Maelstrom came in here and just said, you know what, I got some buffs, and I can do counterblast 1 blockade on my rearguards. So it can basically push 2 damage every single turn without a struggle, because it does 4 attacks per turn. So it does 4 attacks per turn, it does 2 damage per game, and per turn, sorry, and it also draws and retires every turn, because you play self-damager, so you can get to Limit Break pretty easily. And it gains a lot of power. You can do a lot of big power plays with your columns, and it's just very easy for this deck to do well, because Diamantes and Basil, if you didn't know, can hit the Vanguard for counterblast 1 and ignore intercepts, and then they swap with the thing behind them. And so Diamantes hits for 12, Basil hits for 11. If you're against Crossride, sucks, but hopefully you win first. Then, you know, you pull up the thing in the back, it's like a 9k or a 10k or 11 or a 12, hits like a rear, your other rear hits another rear, Maelstrom hits the Vanguard with the boost and the Limit Break, and so then it literally, that's a 4th attack, 2nd damage to the face, and then even if it doesn't hit, Maelstrom skill lets you retire 1 and draw 1. So you retire their field slowly, you literally do more consistent retiring than Kagero does. Like, that's nuts. For free. Like, they don't get to do Berserk Dragon every turn, you do. So that's honestly nuts. Maelstrom just does a lot, and Glory's coming out next month, so I think we're in for a really, like, popular era of Aquaforce right now. I think this Aquaforce will stay super popular for quite some time, and it's really, really strong. So Maelstrom really pulls its weights, and it really, like, outclasses these decks. I think it really is, like, some of these decks are on par, but, like, you know, like, Spikes and stuff are, it's a little bit worse, you know, it's a bit more difficult. The only thing this falls to is, like, Angels and Crossrides, like I said, but it doesn't even fall to them, it just has to change up its game plan. That's about it. So, yeah, I think that the deck really does, like, do good things still. It's not like it completely, like, it doesn't fall to those matchups completely, and every other deck it does super well against. So I think Aquaforce, and the best thing is, it doesn't feel like overpowered, crazy, strong like MLB did before the nerf. It feels a good level of strong, and that's what you want in this game. That's why we can have 7 decks in tier 1 according to me, because, and then another 6 decks in tier 2, which can all fight competitively, because this meta feels really fresh. It feels really balanced, like the game really feels like it's in a great spot. The nerfs to Kagero and Royals feel super good because they just brought them down. As I said, they brought them down a notch, and now look at this. Look at what we have. It's great. So I think that honestly this is what the meta looks like. This is what, like, the popular stuff you can expect, and the decks that are actually quite strong. You will also see, like, some of this, you'll see some of this, you'll see some of this. Okay, this kind of here. But Yeah, so you'll see a bunch of these decks, but the tier 1 and the tier 2 are really the popular ones, and they are the good ones in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's basically it for the set 7 tier list, and I guess I'll see you guys again for, when we get back here for the set 8 as well as set 5 for English tier list as well. And then I will never have to do another English tier list again, because they will always be the same as the Japanese ones. So that's interesting. But anyway, that's basically going to be it for me today, and so I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.